So just warming the car up. Look at that sunrise behind me. It's beautiful. I'm about 5 minutes to get to Pilates. I've probably got about a 7-minute drive. I'm late, but this is a completely different kind of video vibe for Dora today. Grief has no time, right? You know, my father passed away nearly 9 years ago, and the house that I live in is the house that my father spent a lot of time in. I bought the house off my father before he was unwell, actually, because you know, when you get older you become asset rich, no money to fix a house kind of thing, maintain it. I didn't want the house falling down around my father. I thought he'd live forever, to be honest. My dad was like my favourite person. And yeah, I thought he'd live forever. Sorry, I have to drive at the same time, guys. I really did. I thought he'd live forever. I don't know why I thought that. He was 87 years old and he was still walking. Sorry, I'm going to reverse. He was still walking, you know, sometimes up to 10 kilometres a day. I don't know what that is in miles, but a lot a day, with his dog Raji. He was still working part-time at his gardens that he helped create, the Redcliffe Botanical Gardens. So, you know, he was really my mentor, honestly. And when he got unwell, you know, getting a diagnosis of cancer is not great, right? But you know, you have faith that the chemo will work, and he got through it. He got through the chemo, and then he had to have his scan to see if the chemo worked. And I remember taking him to that appointment, and we were just, you know, having a laugh, and you know, we were so hopeful. And then we got to the appointment, and the doctor said, she goes, there's no good way of saying this. And my dad just retreated. And it was pretty clear my dad didn't want to hear it. So she looked at me and she said, look, the cancer has gone everywhere now. So it didn't work at all. So she said, the next step you need to do is palliative care. Anyway, and you know, I walked out with my dad, and Dad didn't really want to talk about it. And I remember that day I had to go back to work, and I was so in grief for myself about the fact that my dad was actually going to die now. Like, this is it. Like, you know, it's gone everywhere, right? There's no hope. And you know what? I just dropped him home. I walked Dad in and I said, you know, Dad, anything you need, anything? He didn't want to talk about it, right? He said first thing, he goes, I don't want you to tell your mother and your sisters. I just don't want you to talk about it. I went, okay. And I left him. You know, he was, you know, pottering away. You know, he's writing things, you know, doing his artwork, his calligraphy. He wasn't working still at this time anymore. But I left him and I went to work. And I wanted a bit of normal, right? But I regret that now. I mean, you should never regret anything. You know, I don't know how to deal with grief, right? I know that. And my dad didn't want to talk about it. What was I going to do? Sit at home and stare at him? No, or sit at home upstairs in my room and just go, oh my God, my dad's going to die. But yeah, I do kind of feel a little bit bad about that. But why am I talking about this? Is because today we're renovating the house. Diego is. And underneath the house is, well, Dad used to live downstairs. He had his office, his bedroom, all the things, library, everything. And he used to write on the timber bearings different quotes and different things that like you don't know this. He just wrote in code, right? And different numbers and sayings and stuff, and his beautiful calligraphy writing. And it's been there for 9 years since he's passed away, right? So I could, walk downstairs, look up at the rafters and the rafters, I guess, and look up at my dad's writing and just, feel like he was there. And I know it's really silly, right? Because he's not there, he's everywhere. He's in me, right? And I know this is coming. We're getting some insulation put in today. So today is the day that all that will be covered up. I've taken photos and pictures, but, it doesn't mean anything, like, right? Like, I'm not going to go back and look at the photos, really, like, it's silly. But yeah, I was running late for Pilates, and I was like, I need to go in there and just be around his writing again one more time. So yeah, I just want to share that, like, grief has no time. I'll always grieve my father, always. Anyway, I'm going to clean myself up because I have to go to Pilates, and I don't want to be a wet blanket. But yeah, just to share that, I don't know, we're all human, and it's good to cry and it's good to grieve. And if you are missing someone today, I send you a big hug, because I know my dad's looking down at me just laughing, going, what the hell? He goes, it's just writing on a wall, just whatever. You got this nearly new house now. That is true. Thanks, Dad. Anyway, I'm going. Will I post this? Probably not.